Next, we have slow time, and I really like this this animation. Okay, check it out. When I hover marked for death, look at how fast the animation's moving for the shout, and then when I go to slow time, it's all like. Okay, enough of that. The first word of slow time that I'm going to reveal is actually at Hag's End. However, you cannot get straight to Hag's End. You have to go through Deepwood Redoubt, and it dumps you out into this little open area between the two, and then once fighting through a bunch more Forsworn, you can get to Hag's End. So, Deepwood Redoubt, again, this is Solitude, down here is Markarth. There's a road right up here that comes straight out of Solitude. Deepwood Redoubt looks something like this. I'm going to try to sneak through here if I can. Oh, I cannot. Okay, I'm going to run through then. So we're going to come up some stairs, and I think, sure enough, right there's the door. We're going to go in. Now, for the most part, I'm going to assume that you guys have no trouble getting through this itself. A matter of fact, what I'm actually going to do to get to Hag's End is run right back out and then fast travel to Hag's End, just because it's easier than getting through all this crap. But I'll show you where you would come out the other end of this little dungeon. Alright, so now I'm looking out over the space between Deepwood Redoubt and Hag's End. Right over here is the doors to Hag's End that goes up to the top of it. And let's see, let me bring up my local map. You come out over here, out of Deepwood Redoubt, and you've got a pretty clear path that goes straight up and under a gate, and then there's a couple different terraces. Again, it's all pretty clear which way you need to go. You just steadily go upstairs until you're up here to Hag's End. Something I failed to mention when I first started seeking this word out is that it is related to Dark Brotherhood quest, actually Dark Brotherhood Radiant quest, The Feeble Fortune. You don't have to be on that quest to come in here and get the word, though. So, I'm going to continue to the top, show you where the other door is, and then we're going to see the word. Alright, I thought the word was up on the very top terrace, but it doesn't look like it is. I'm actually facing it right now. This map probably doesn't help you a whole lot, because parts of this wind back and forth across itself. Suffice to say that it's pretty clear which way you have to go. Here's the word wall. Looks just like any other. I'm going to go ahead and go out the top, just for funsies. There be the top of Hag's End. And the first word of slow time. So let's continue on to the next. Word number 2 of time slow is available at Corvanjand. Note that this is one that requires you be on a quest. You cannot get to it without being on this quest. The quest is Civil War quest, The Jagged Crown. Now, you can side with the Stormcloaks or with the Imperials and get to this quest. And even better, I believe it's the very first quest in the Civil War chain. And then you will proceed down to the very bottom of this little area and into Corvanjand. Oh, you know what? This is no good. Actually, it might not be the very bottom. Let me check the door just above this. I'm thinking since I completed this quest, I might not be able to show you guys the word wall itself. It's definitely here, though. No, hold on. I may be wrong. Yeah, here we go. Within Corvanjand, once you enter the temple, you'll enter here. You'll go through a large hall, and then through a smaller hallway, and even deeper into the Corvanjand halls. Note that this side door is the exit. There's a door right here that's barred from the other side the first time you come in here. So let's progress into the halls. Going into the entrance to the halls will bring you out here, where you can progress very linearly all the way to the crypt, the final set of chambers in Corvanjand. And the crypt is pretty small and straightforward. Here you'll come out of the halls, and you'll go straight into this main chamber, and eventually to the word wall. There be 2 words of slow time, and the final word of time slow is in Labyrinthian. Labyrinthian is a place you come on the College of Winterhold quest, the Staff of Magnus, and this is also a Dragon Priest lair. Now this one is huge. Labyrinthian is very, very big, and I don't think you can open this door until you're on the College of Winterhold quest, so you are restricted to being on that quest to get this word. because Labyrinthian as a whole is so large and has so many different little subchambers, I am not going to show each different leg of journeying down in here. I'm going to assume that you guys can get to it yourselves. I am going to show you which part has the word wall though, and exactly where in that part the word wall lies. And finally, in a small chamber just before you reach the Dragon Priest, there is the word wall. I believe this part of Labyrinthian is called the Labyrinthian Tribune, although that's not what it says up here. That's what it said on the door that led into this place, and you can see by this door that it's right after the Labyrinthian Thoroughfare. So the word wall is right there. You're going to come into this chamber from this door, and you'll be looking at the back of this chair that will have a powerful Draugr dependent on your level in it. And right there is your word of time slow. Alright, so let's get the crap out of Labyrinthian and go check time slow out. We're going to go use it a little bit. Troll seems like about as good as any target to try some slow time out on. So, as you may know about archers already, I've got this slow time on zooming in with my bow, because I have the perks for it. So that slows time. I'm going to shoot him one time. It'd be great if that paralyzed him, but it's not going to. He actually gets a hit off on me. So there's the shout of slow time, much slower than my archery normally does. And it appears as though I cannot use my archery slow time in conjunction with it. But there's some 3-word slow time. Incredibly slow time. This works pretty good with an archer. Obviously, as you just saw, you can get a lot of shots off quick. It also works pretty good with a mage because it lets you dodge out of the way of everything and lets you get tons of spells off. So there's a little demo for slow time. I don't use it a whole lot with my archer. I did use it quite a bit with my mage, but haven't really recently. So let's go ahead and move on to the next shout, which is going to be Storm Call. The first word of Storm Call is in a location called Forelhost. That's on the top of the mountain closest to Riften. This little mountain is not too terribly hard to get to. There's a path that leads from the lower area right up the side, up to this little tower that you guys can just see up ahead of me. And the tower brings you up a touch in elevation. And there is actually a dungeon here, and there's a dungeon quest associated with it, but I don't believe you have to do any of that. I actually have a really nice shortcut for this one to show you guys how to get straight to the word wall much more easily than to go through the dungeon itself. As a matter of fact, I haven't been through this dungeon yet myself. So as you come up to Forelhost, there's this gentleman who's going to ask you to help him. If I can, I'm just going to avoid him. I cannot, so I'm just going to tab out and walk away. Right there's the door to the dungeon of Forelhost, and right up there, which you can barely see, is... No, I'm not going to help you. Get away from me, guy. Right up there's the word wall. So, seeing that, I was like, I don't have to go into the dungeon. Let's see if I can just get up there without. And I found a bit of snow around the back side of the dungeon that leads to a bit of wall that you can kind of cliff hang up. Use a little bit of pathing abuse to never fall backwards but always move up just a touch. And then do it again. And then, if you have, I guess I should have prefaced this to begin with, if you have level 3 of Whirlwind Sprint, you can get from here right over to there pretty easily. Oh, there we go. And here's the word wall. So alternately, if you don't want to mess with that, or if you try it once and can't really get it and get frustrated, you can go through the dungeon. You'll come out right there. Just don't forget to run over here on this little terrace and snatch up your word of Storm Call. What an appropriate place up here so close to the sky. There is a word of Storm Call in the Skuldothan Temple during the main Dragonborn quest. Of course, after you fly to Skuldothan, you can kind of see where I am here. It might not help to look at this right now, but if you come into the Skuldothan Temple, then you can look at your little map and you'll see that this is the chamber that the word's in. And honestly, as you do the main quest, this one is really hard to miss. And here's some special footage for you guys. You guys actually get to see me learn this word. And you'll notice that as I get it, this is actually my first word of Stormcall. Stormcall. Again, Skuldolphin Temple within Skuldolphin on your way through the Dragonborn quest. Alright, moving right along. The third and final word of Stormcall is at Highgate Ruins in Hjalmarch. You can see Solitude right over there. I'm actually even going to look at it, just because Solitude looks really cool from a distance. It's on a big, massive land bridge. Natural land bridge. Here is Highgate Ruins. This happens to be a Dragon Priest lair. And let's go inside and explore. Entering the ruins will deposit you here, where you have a mostly linear path, though through large chambers, into the Highgate Ruins catacombs, where you will follow another almost totally linear path to get to the throne room. The word itself is just past the chamber that you fight the Dragon Priest in. Right here. Okay, so now that you have all three words of Stormcall, let's go use it. Alright, and for the demonstration of Stormcall, I really just want to have some fun. So here I am in Whiterun. It's a nice clear day, little bit of clouds, but overall pretty nice day out. Until the Dovahkiin arose. Oh, and the sky turns instantly. I've got some enemies all of a sudden. Let's see how fast my bounty goes up. There's 5 bounty. Oh, more bounty. Oh, people getting shocked. Lightning everywhere. Oh, obviously I am not going to save all this shenaniganery, because that would be very detrimental to my wallet. Oh, I sheathed my weapons, so he's going to try to stop. Okay, so 3,000 gold. Oh, actually it's like 6,000 right now. You're never gonna catch me. And even worse, you're all probably gonna die from this Stormcall. So, it's pretty obvious that Stormcall is very, very destructive. Let's take a look at its statistics real fast. So there you can see the recharge times of the Stormcall. The different words only increase its duration, and with all three words it has a 180-second duration. So it starts at 60, goes to 120, then to 180. That's a full 3 minutes of, you guys saw like, I don't know, 30 seconds of it just sapping down I don't know how many people. There are dead bodies just everywhere, and there are more people dying by the second. Little kids scared for their life, running. So there's Stormcall in all of its glory. Let's see what shot we have next. The next word is going to be a mostly trivial but incredibly useful throw voice. Throw voice, all three words can be found at Sheer Point, which is a dragon lair and a dragon priest lair. This is the dragon priest lair of Croesus. And you can see it's not too far from Whiterun, up here around Felglow Keep, and a couple other notable locations. If you guys have already gotten slow time, that's a very short travel distance. The word wall itself is right out here in the open. You'll see a dragon above it, and a dragon priest will pop out of this little sarcophagus right here. And I'm not going to demo this with enemies, but I am going to use it just so you guys can see and hear it. When you're sneaking, you can use this to make a sound wherever you're looking, and you'll notice that the recharge time is incredibly quick on it. All enemies nearby will go running to that location, thinking that they heard, you know, something over there. And it's kind of funny, if you have subtitles on, some little dialogue will pop up like, hey, troll bait, or something like that, you know, as if you're yelling at them, calling them names. The only difference, and I guess I shouldn't have, I just now popped word one of it. The only difference in the various words are the cooldown. So you should always hold this shout. You should always hold this shout and do all three words of it, because the cooldown goes down to 5 seconds. Alright, that was a simple one. Let's move right along. Which brings us to a shout that I'm sure all of you are already familiar with. Unrelenting Force. The first word of Unrelenting Force is in Bleak Falls Barrow. This is a location that a Golden Claw quest from Riverwood will send you to, which is likely a quest that all of you have done. This is like one of the introductory quests. It brings you to this barrow with the Dragon Claw, And inside, you get to fight your first somewhat tough Draugr and find your first word wall. After going through a long bit of dungeon and cave, all of which you can see here, you'll find yourself at a door to the inner sanctum, Bleak Falls Sanctum. That deposits you very close to the final chamber that houses the word wall, which is there in all of its grandeur. This is where you have a bit of a mini-boss battle, and where you get the word. So just take a look at the local map. You will enter the sanctum here. It's a pretty straight shot, around the corner, right down the path, and bam! You now have Unrelenting Force, although when you first go through this, you don't have the Dragon Soul to unlock it, so that comes a little later. Both the second and third word of Unrelenting Force are found in a very familiar place, High Hrothgar. You actually learn both other words of the shout from the Greybeards during the main Dragonborn quest, and I think you get it at various different parts in the quest. The Way of the Voice is what's listed here, although I think one word comes and then another word comes kind of a little bit later, if I remember correctly. And you'll learn all that while talking to the Greybeards right here in this central chamber of High Hrothgar. So that makes all 3 levels of Unrelenting Force. I think I am going to demo this real fast, even though I'm sure you guys are all thoroughly familiar with Unrelenting Force. Oh, who better to demonstrate Unrelenting Force on than a member of the Greybeards himself. I'm on the top of a tower that is going to surmount a death-defying plunge for him. Let's see if this works. Oh, it didn't work. He's too strong. He knows the way of the voice. Okay, let's go see if we can find somebody else. Because that was Clear Skies, I think. That's interesting. Because I really want to show you ragdoll physics. Some of these nondescript bandits should provide the perfect target. Oh, he didn't quite go off. Oh, or did he? Or did he? Nope, not quite. So let's have a second go at that, shall we? Here's a prime target. You can hit a couple guys with this if you get it lined up right, but I just want to see somebody go off a cliff. Yeah! I don't think that still killed her. Actually, that did. Sweet! There you have some Fusro Da-age. This is a great shout for anybody who wants to survive. A pack of guys, if it doesn't send them flying the way that does, it will at least knock them down, kind of the way it did Bori just a second ago up at High Hrothgar. So let's move on to the final shout. Oh, and just to detail the last little bit of Unrelenting Force, as far as statistics go, recharge is 15, 20, 45, so the second word of it is actually a very short cooldown still, whereas the third word jumps to a pretty long cooldown, and it actually does do damage. It does 2 damage with 1 word, 5 damage with 2 words, and 10 damage with all 3 words. The last shout, of course, is going to be Whirlwind Sprint, and I've returned briefly to High Hrothgar because this is where you get the first word of Whirlwind Sprint during the Dragonborn quest, The Way of the Voice. You'll come out to this courtyard. They will teach you Whirlwind Sprint. You'll have to use it to pass through those gates. Let's go see where the other 2 words are. There is another word of Whirlwind Sprint available in Volskig. This is in Hafingr, which is the Solitude region. It's not too far, just south of this road that leads out of Solitude. And it has quite a grand, but roughly straight set of steps leading up to it. So let's go over and see the dungeon itself as arrows hiss, slinging by my head. Alright, here's the door. Let's go inside and take a look. Oh, do note, this is a dragon priest's lair. So, Volskag is fairly simple. There is a puzzle in this chamber right before you go to the Volskag passages that can be a little bit tough. There are 4 switches. Each has an icon next to it. There's a snake, a bear, a fox, and a wolf. And then there's a book there that gives you some tips on which lever you should pull first. Just to go ahead and spoil it for you, the order is snake, bear, fox, wolf. So if you're having trouble with this little puzzle here, remember snake, bear, fox, wolf. Okay, I'm going to continue down to the passages, and we're going to take a look at the wall. These passages are littered with bandit carcasses. And the passages are just as they indicate, a number of long, winding passages that eventually brings you to a door to the peak. The peak houses the Dragon Priest and the word wall. So there we have 2 words of Whirlwind Sprint. The third and final word of the very last shout is in a place called Dead Men's Respite. It's not too far from Morthal, also not too far from Ranvig's Fast, a location we visited for a previous word. This is potentially part of the Bard's College quest, Tending the Flames. However, you don't have to be on that quest to get in here and get to the word wall. The word wall itself is in the largest chamber of Dead Men's Respite. You start out over here, and this way brings you back to the entrance from the end. So you'll take off the right side here and go through a lot of this other stuff, maybe even down into all those dead ends, getting various loots, and eventually end up in this main chamber where I won't spoil anything, but a large battle happens. All of them fight you, and here's the word wall itself. So let's go use Whirlwind somewhere where there's not 100 guys trying to kill me. So just to give you a kind of neat point of reference for what level 3 of Whirlwind Shout can do, I'm in Whiterun right now, and I'm coming from Dragon's Reach, which is something you may do pretty often. And Whirlwind Sprint will do things like take you across parts of the city kind of quicker. It's also one of the few shouts that I have hotkeyed on every character I've ever made, just because while running around the world, anytime going from one place to another, as you sit here and hold sprint, you'll wipe out your stamina, and then you can generally rotate that with hitting Whirlwind Sprint. And it gets you places faster. So does a horse, of course, but it's a decent stand-in. So that does it for the very last of the locations of every word for every shout. Thanks for watching, guys. Later.